On fucking start. There we go. There we go, people. We're live. Hi, it's Jeremy here with the Star Wars Legends podcast, episode 11, which you all should be proud of me because I actually remembered what number we were on. I got my usual host, John Sadler, with me. Bill's back again.
John.
Yeah.
And we got Dark Snovia with us.
Hey.
So, I always begin these when we get new hosts with, how did you get into the EU, Jordan?
You want the long one or the short one?
The long one, because we need padding.
Unfortunately, my first exposure to the EU was Jedi Prince.
Oh, boy.
No joke.
That may be worse than Bill watching the Ewok movies.
What? What? That's the greatest introduction ever.
I didn't actually read them. Someone read them to me. I don't really remember what happened, honestly, even though I own them in hardcover in my shelf.
Hey, me too.
Well, my real introduction would be more to Knights of the Old Republic, which I'm pretty sure it's most people's introduction who didn't read it back in the 90s.
Okay.
Of course, I read it. I reviewed it on my channel. Darth Bane: Path of Destruction is officially my first book I've ever read, the Star Wars Expanded Universe, and then from there I just became the fan I am right now.
Awesome. Hey, everyone, we've got our first viewer.
Yay.
Yay.
All right, so let's dive into this. So there's a new Battlefront coming out. No, I'm not talking the terrible EA one. I'm talking
Oh God.
Russia here. Dylan, jump in here.
Well, it's not technically Russia. It's a bunch of fans who live in Russia who, I'm looking for the thing right now. Man, it's almost like we don't prep for these. And they're just kind of spur of the moment. We just, oh yeah, we're online. Let's just record a podcast. Anyway, so called Battlefront Galaxy in Turmoil, which is going to be done by a Russian outfit called Frontware Studios. And it's going to be a remake of the never-released Battlefront 3 following Free Radical's game engine and formula. Presumably they're using Battlefront 2's game engine as well as the parts of the Battlefront 3 stuff that was released to the public before that got canned. And the big news is out of this is that not only is it going up, but that Steam has greenlighted it to whenever it's done, which should be soon, but we'll have more on it when it comes out. But Steam is going to agree to have it on Steam for free, so it will be available to everyone. And the big part of it, what's good about it being free, is that even though someone pointed out you can claim copyright on something even though they're not making profit on it, but considering this is the true successor to Battlefront 2, the true Battlefront 3, as the Battlefront games were originally intended to be, if Disney were to kind of put the kibosh on it and give out cease and desist letters, the backlash would be more enormous. So I think that, in my opinion.
Well, you would also think it would be enormous when they canceled the EU too, but it is what it is.
Right, but more people, I think it's safe to say more people have played Battlefront 2 than have really dived into the EU.
I'd second that, yeah.
That's sad, unfortunately.
But, so, we'll get
And Battlefront 1 for that matter.
Yeah, or the beautiful PSP games that no one talks about except for me. Those
I talk about them. Renegade Squadron, Elite Squadron. Oh my god, the controllers were bad because the PSP didn't have the second analog stick, so it was hard to aim.
I
They were
even
good.
stole my brother's PSP to play that. It was awesome.
PSP broke, and I was so sad because I never finished the Elite Squad's campaign. But yeah, I need to get another PSP.
I remember because that was the first game that had Solus as a planet.
Yeah, that was
man.
more. That game was more advanced than this new EA Battlefront.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just sad.
It's cringeworthy.
But
is
it's
what,
EA.
yeah, mediocrity.
You can get a used one for $7.99.
You should buy that for me for my
That's
birthday.
for Elite Squadron.
Oh, you're talking about the game. I thought you meant the PSP itself. Like that's.
Oh no.
You should buy me a PSP, Dylan. We're friends, right?
I got you a signed copy of Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
But that was last year. He did, everyone. He's a good friend.
Renegades.
He met Alan Dean
Renegade
Foster.
Squadron, by the way, is $18.99.
What's older?
I did, and I also. Just like today, Brian, who we couldn't get on the podcast for reasons, met Michael Stackpole and was listening to him about the movement and the billboard. But he can't be on the podcast because reasons. So
Fucking.
we'll never know.
Anyway, well, let's get into our main topic here, which we're going to talk about Star Wars fan theories. Something that Dylan and I have wanted to talk about for a long while now. So, how do we want to do this?
Well, let's start with the obvious one that I think everyone, since the Phantom Menace has come out, everyone has speculated, but then when Plagius came out, it became increasingly more possible.
Oh, Anakin's Space Jesus? I feel so stupid saying that.
It's a stupid theory, but like,
It's got traction, though.
I know, that's what's weird about it.
Let's explain this. So, Anakin, we all know, was born, didn't have a dad. He just kind of was was a fetus, and it was birthed. But if you read the book Darth Plagueis, there's Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious do some weird force experiment with the dark side that causes a ripple through the galaxy. And Darth Plagueis, when he finds out about Anakin, thinks that that's the outcome of the experiment, that the light side had, in order to balance out the dark side, created Anakin.
Or the light side created Anakin. The Force, basically.
The Force created Anakin to keep balance.
Which is interesting, because if it had not been for him, none of the Skywalker line would have not been born. Honestly.
Yeah. I think it worked out in the end. There were definitely some rough patches, especially during the quote-unquote dark times. But I don't know, that's interesting. But that's getting into what-if scenarios, and that's not really what this
About
the theory of this.
We're not
Yeah.
talking what if. That's a whole nother podcast. Our top 5. Oh god, that'd be 4 hours long. Bill, what do you think? You haven't
Because you've read Plagius. You've read Plagius, haven't you?
Bill?
Me? No.
Oh.
Okay.
Everyone raves about it, but I haven't read it.
I love
Okay.
it. My favorite of the books.
Well,
I say this at least every other.
I know pretty much everything that happens in it, like most stuff, but never actually read it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'd almost put it above the Thrawn trilogy in best Star Wars book. It's so
I'll
good.
get killed for this.
Better
Well,
than
I put over the Thrawn trilogy.
I don't know. You haven't read a lot of the post Jedi stuff, especially when you start getting into New Jedi Order. Man, That's
I've read a
sad.
good chunk of it.
yeah, I know you have because you've reviewed a bunch of them.
Yeah, I haven't though. I've read Vector Prime after reading Legacy of the Force Betrayal. It just was overly confused.
What?
I was a kid. I was trying to jump on the EU because I read Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and I'm like, I want more EU.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go to the next one. This is one of my personal favorites. This comes from Legacy of the Force Volume 2. AG the HK assassin droid.
It's an IG assassin droid, I think.
It's C-3PO's conscience in an assassin. It's not an HK, my bad. It's an IG.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. HK is on my mind. I want to play some KOTOR. But his consciousness is in the IG assassin droid, or well, his memory, or what's left of his memory, because he's been wiped, God knows how many times. But Dylan can back this up right now.
Well, it's backed up. What makes this theory plausible is that the IG Core, which I can't remember his name, is basically owes a semi-life debt to the Solos, and is basically completely subservient to on protecting Anya Solo. Why would an assassin droid? What kind of arrangements, unless it was programmed to do so, would get it into that situation? Also, in the fact that for an assassin droid, it's pretty polite and docile, more so than you'd think, and actually sociable, especially. Mm-hmm. And then there's for those of you who have read New Jedi Order in particular, you'll note there are parts of New Jedi Order where C-3PO contemplates his own mortality and is afraid of that and starts pleading with the Solos at several different points, like, don't destroy me, for backups, or like something to preserve himself so that he doesn't cease to exist, because he begins to get afraid of that. So that's where the theory came from, that sometime in the 90 years between Crucible and Legacy, something happened to C-3PO, but they were able to transfer his conscience over to an assassin droid that worked to protect the Solos.
I mean, it's more plausible than R2-D2 just being there. But he is.
It's like, well, I heard someone say that he was just like on the hidden temple, like Luke just parked him at the hidden temple when he founded that, and then like he didn't come out till like the very end when he's like, oh yeah, here's an R2 unit for fan service.
Yeah, that was so fan service, it kind of hurt. Where's some more?
Well, there's the Bill, have you finished the new Old Republic campaign yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, the newest expansion?
I haven't done the original. I haven't gotten very far in it. I'm on Coruscant.
You're our only Old Republic player here. I was hoping you could carry this one.
I don't like that type of gameplay.
I blame you. I don't either.
Well, anyway, this is kind of spoiler alert for the newest expansion for the Knights of the Old Republic. I think it's Knights of the Fallen Empire.
I don't think
the most recent one.
I don't think he actually likes the game.
No, I'm talking to all of our viewers.
Well,
all two of them, I think, who are watching it right now.
Many people who play that sort of game on here. I don't think that's my clientele.
All right. Well, spoilers anyway, but it basically comes out in the latest expansion that Vitiate is semi-immortal, and that he is able to transfer his conscience, basically a spirit and conscience, and take over another being to use them as his own vessel. And then he's done that to survive for a couple of millennia, I think. I think it's 2,000 or 3,000 years or something, until they're finally able.
Oh, go on.
Until they're finally able to kill him, because he was around before the original KOTOR, because he was building up before that, and then he was a little at latest Knights of the Old Republic. But the theory is that he does this, which is extremely similar to, if you've read Dark Empire, to what Palpatine does at the end. Now, Palpatine does it with clones of himself. and then later tries to take over Anakin Solo, but that doesn't work and it doesn't happen. But when that came out, the theory started that what if Palpatine is really just vitiated and he never died? He just lay dormant for thousands of years until he determined that the time was right and he took over Palpatine to kind of take back over the galaxy.
Are we certain that he wasn't destroyed completely? Because the Frida Nad example. Frida Nad in the Frida Nad uprising was a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And in Dark Lords of the Sith, he's destroyed by Exar Kun. Like, his spirit is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Are we sure that Vitiate's spirit was not destroyed?
I haven't played the game, but from what I've looked, Vitiate's end still hasn't happened yet. Still hasn't been written. It's just kind of assumed that he died at some point. So the theory is that he didn't actually die and he was just laying dormant. Now, this is I kind of don't like the Anakin Space Jesus one, even though it's probably most likely true because George Lucas had to have that stupid line in Phantom Menace. But this one...
George Lucas and a stupid line in Phantom Menace. Pick them. Pick all of them. Pick everything Jar Jar said.
Well, one particular, and he's like, he was consumed to the midichlorians or something. Which, by the way, if you hate midichlorians, read Darth Plagueis because it makes them a whole lot better. Makes them actually make sense. But anyway, this is the one that I don't agree with because, in my opinion, while it's similar, I don't think it's necessarily the same. I think what happened was that Palpatine at some point in his life, found some old teachings, or maybe even a holocron that Vitiate had for some power, because part of the rule of two Sith was not only basically hiding and biding their time and hiding until the time was right, but actually learning more about the Force and becoming more powerful through each incarnation. They were readily scouting out and learning new and interesting Force powers, which is why in the rule of two Sith, a lot of the ancient Sith magics kind of fell to the wayside because they were learning the new and more powerful aspects of the Force. I think that Palpatine, during that time when they were still on the low side, learned about that ability from a Sith holocron or something, and then over time was able to become powerful enough that he could actually perform it to where you saw in Dark Empire. But that is the theory, that Palpatine is Vitiate.
Well, I'm not going to spoil the book for you, but read Darth Plagueis.
Oh,
Your
okay.
opinion on that might change slightly.
What? Okay.
You're in an interesting direction, but I don't think that's 100% correct. I mean, it's just speculation, of course, but.
No, yeah. And again, he could have found those holocrons at any time. So it doesn't necessarily have to be during that time. What?
That's what I thought happened.
Yeah.
Alright. Next one. This isn't necessarily a fan theory. A lot of people consider this accurate. I know Bill does, for sure. When Fantasy Flight essentially said that Filoni's Clone Wars didn't really happen, that it was... I had to bring this one up. Because a lot of us consider it not canon. Filoni's Clone Wars not canon. It has too many issues with continuity. It's a complete mess, and he ruined a whole 10 years. How long was the Clone Wars? 5 years?
I believe it was
between
3.
episode 2 and 3 was 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years. It ruined 3 or 4 years of in-canon continuity. Everything, all of your timelines for Clone Wars are wrong. No one has a correct timeline for Clone Wars. So I think Fantasy Flight said, well, this is set up like propaganda anyway. what if this was just propaganda and it didn't happen the way it happened? Because the good guys always win.
Didn't they mention that too in one of the Fate of the Jedi books?
What?
That it was like an Imperial propaganda piece. I haven't read those books, but I thought I heard them several people say it's mentioned in one of the Fate of the Jedi books that they're old holovids that take on the.
There's also from the Jedi Path, one of the I think it's the Jedi Path. In one of like the scribbles, someone says that the timeline. I think it was Luke, that the timeline of the Clone Wars is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking for the exact passage in the Force and Destiny rulebook because I have the Force and Destiny core rulebook, which I may or may not have bought just because of this one passage, so I can confirm that it actually
exists.
May or may not. I mean, I actually might use it, maybe, but where is it? But it's like a little data pad on like of the in-universe stuff, and it's basically like, yeah, I intercepted a message from Compnor that says that that certain details about the history of the Clone Wars are being gone under review for intellectual purity, and it makes me wonder if there are some things about the Clone Wars read.
But
and then, yeah. Here it is. It's on page 353. Right there. You see that? My camera's probably terrible, but it goes, for example, I intercepted a mandate from officials on Cardia, ordering that all records in their military academies pertaining to the history of the Clone Wars undergo, quote, review for intellectual purity by a dozen Compnor agents. While I can just guess what kind of intellectual purity Compnor wants to enforce, it's got me wondering if there's some information about the events in the Clone Wars they're worried someone might read. And because the Clone Wars, basically every episode of the Clone Wars starts off as like one of the World War II era like news bulletins when people go to the movies, and like there'd be like an announced narrator going like, yeah, this is what's happening, blah 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 blah, and then it goes into whatever the movie is. The theory is, or pretty much as close to fact as we can make it, what you see in the Clone Wars is just that. It's the Imperial propaganda films that they're teaching to the cadets at the academies. Which is kind of right, but there's a lot that's been tampered with, yes.
I mean,
doesn't this cause a mess in Disney's continuity too? I don't read it, so I don't know.
A little bit,
because
there's a episode that contradicts Empire Strikes Back of Shipyards of Doom, and I've talked about this, and Dylan has a retcon for it, but the thing is, the new story group won't retcon anything, so it's no. Actually, Marvel Comics, in all honesty, have caused a complete mess because Luke and Vader have faced off twice now. It's not even Empire yet.
Well, by the way, what he's talking about is that. Oh, go on.
I'll explain it. So, in this episode, in order to take down this Trade Federation ship factory, Anakin, Ahsoka, Captain Rex, and a couple other clones have to fly under a heat vision sensor, so they freeze themselves in carbonite. Well, if you've seen Empire Strikes Back, Vader says, quote, when Boba Fett asks him if I can't remember. No, it's
what
Lando.
if he doesn't survive?
These aren't meant for people, and Vader's like, all right, we'll just test it on Captain Solo.
Well, to be fair, that was a commercial processing plant. It could very well have been.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, but a lot of people think like me that Dave Filoni didn't care.
Well, true. That he definitely didn't care.
Oh yeah, can we just say that the Clone Wars and Rebels is trash?
Oh, they are.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, we need to have the obligatory
We have to fit our.
Filoni.
I mean, I filled the John Sadler quota, and now we need to
Haha.
fill the Filoni trash quota.
It's,
There.
it's
in
John
there.
Tuttle.
You know, it's much easier if we just disregard what he says completely, because whatever thing he ever makes is complete BS anyway. It doesn't make any sense in the context of the universe.
I
Like
don't
when he
know.
tweeted out, "Oh yeah, there's always a little truth in Legends." When he was going to Celebration,
God, that was,
basically just
it was almost as
trigger
bad
us.
as Pablo Hidalgo's Revan comment
Oh.
on Twitter.
I
That was-
haven't
It was meant to trigger. And that's what these guys do. They just trigger the EU fans because they don't care about us.
They don't care, and Mega Marie actually had a good one that they can't create. All they can do is berate.
Yeah. Look at their continuity. To be honest here, they have a continuity where space diapers exists.
We
Right.
actually got. They were actually raving about how great their storytelling was. We actually got a response to one of the letter campaigns today. And
Oh yeah,
they talked about it's a great time for Star Wars something storytelling or something. Let me see if I can see it.
yeah, it's a great time. And then basically they said like we're bringing some of the expanded universe characters back, and they're having new adventures in the new canon. And we're like, that's not what we're asking.
That's not what we're asking at all. Remember the campaign at the beginning, halfway through season 1 of Rebels, to bring Mara Jade in there? Now they want
Mhm.
Thrawn in there. Thrawn on Rebels.
Ugh. No, keep Thrawn away from Rebels. I mean, Filoni's already ruined Darth Maul.
well-
No.
Oh, Darth Maul came
Well,
back in
campaign.
Rebels, apparently.
Okay, it says during this unprecedented era of expression. I guess that means throw everything out and do whatever we feel like.
I foresee that this new Disney canon is going to reboot, or at least have a soft reboot, within the next year or so, because their comics are a mess.
Well, they don't care enough to reboot.
I think
They
they
actually
will
have to
because they're losing readers in the
They don't
comics.
care about the readers. They just care about their films, and they have these other stuff to kind of promote the films. They don't care about any of this, any of the comics, the games, or the books. They're just there to be a promotion for the movies.
Yeah, so they can have people that say "I rebel"
Oh, God, that was awful.
just for trailer shock value.
Just like their Journey to the Force Awakens, which didn't even do that. It was just a bunch of books and
Okay.
comics that had nothing to do with each other.
I have a comment about that because Bloodline, the new novel by Claudia Gray,
Not the old bloodline. The old bloodline is ours.
Right.
Yeah. New Republic Bloodline, that's what it's called. It does not say Journey to the Force Awakens on it. It says a book that
Right,
takes
because-
place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Because that Journey to the Force Awakens thing was specifically geared to buy garbage. I mean, it was led by Chuck Wendig, which he's back. I wonder if they'll have space tampons in this next book.
You know, they should have
just
Stephanie
like Matt
Meyer write a
said.
Star Wars book.
Just like Matt said, Wendig's writing new books next year.
He's gonna spend a
We
month
should
with this
have
one,
planned
right?
the intro, maybe for our holiday episode.
That was the best holiday special ever.
It was a good time.
That's not saying much, but it's still. Anyway, fan theories.
I don't have any more.
And theories were never
Well, there's
my
the. Well, there's the big one, which again, kind of like the last one, isn't really a fan theory. It's kind of generally accepted that until they write this story, that this is what happened. But
Yeah.
it's
This is also
it's basically-
known as Elon's wet dream.
what
You should accept that. It's okay.
What?
That this theory is your wet dream.
No, it's just the most logical one. basically, it's the theory of the formation of the Imperial Knights, that there was, at some point between Crucible and the Legacy comics, there was a schism between the Jedi Order, and half of the Jedi went to the more orthodox one and stayed in the Jedi Order. The other half went to form the Imperial Knights, and that Jaina Solo was one of them. Tahiri as well would probably be with them, because at the end of Crucible, she was essentially acting as Jagged Fellow's bodyguard. Kind of spoilers, but oh well. And then people also throw Kip Dern in there because, well, he's the Dark Jedi of the New Jedi Order, so he would have to be there.
Also,
But it's the three of them and probably a few others.
of the Jedi Order.
Right.
Mr. I Jarge into things without thinking it through of the Jedi Order.
Who, Corran? Or Kip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did a lot of that. Wasn't he also
Right,
possessed?
but again...
Was that him who got... Was he one
No,
of the
he wasn't possessed. No, Streen and Gantoris were possessed. He was just more manipulated.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember. Because once again, that's...
By the way, spoiler alert for Jedi Academy trilogy.
Oh, I'm sorry. The book came out how many decades ago? About 2.
Mm-hmm. Right, and a spoiler alert for Empire Strikes Back, but Darth Vader's actually Luke Skywalker's father. Sorry, I didn't know if you knew that.
We actually got 3 people watching now.
Yeah, they just got another viewer. They're in the spoiler podcast. Let's see, what are some other good ones? Qui-Gon died at the end of Phantom Menace. In case you didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh, Luke
And Maul did too.
Right. Also, in case you didn't know, Greedo shot first.
Oh, now Dylan's just digging in with the troll knife right there. I'm pretty sure 5 people just unsubscribed.
Well, that's true. Greedo did shoot first.
Depends on.
Depends on which version of the film you watch.
Yeah, but that kind of segues into what we're reading. If we want to go there, do we want to do that? It's a good segue.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to start because I've been reading Marvel, the original Marvel comics, and I finished the movie adaptation of the original Star Wars. And fantastic. You guys need to read it. It's so good. I have a review coming out on Monday. I'm so excited for it.
But when are you reviewing Star Wars issue 3? That's the real question.
I did along with 4, 5, and 6. Called my Skywalker Strikes review. Go check it out and give me some money. Join my Patreon. Follow me on AOL Messenger. Anyway. What else? Well, there's some interesting things in it. Because Han shoots first in that. And he talks to Jabba in it. Only Jabba's not a Hutt.
Mm-hmm.
He's a weird butt-faced looking alien. And it's interesting, and he speaks English. Also, the Death Star disc is on the bottom of the Death Star, like the laser.
Mm-hmm.
On the bottom. It's just the little things. Of course, everyone knows that all the lightsabers were red in the original comics because they didn't know what the colors were going to be for the lightsabers.
Right.
And Chewbacca looks like Sasquatch, which was hard to get over.
That's the whole Infinity.
But anyway, it was really good. And that's pretty much all I've read Star Wars this last week.
Oh, okay.
Who's
I thought you
next?
were going to say Everett, Mike.
Yeah. Who's next?
I'll go because it's kind of short. I'm still reading Riptide. It's only been like 6 days since our last podcast. You're welcome, by the way, for not waiting a month for the next one.
I see you have
Yeah,
the EU business cards there.
Oh, yes. I use it as my bookmark.
That's all it's good for now. It's so outdated.
It needs
No,
my
it
channel.
has Tim's website, which no longer exists. It has Darth Harasser's Facebook group, which is
Oh.
under a different name now.
Oh, yeah, Darth Harasser. What a jerk. God. Oh, that takes me back to all the stress you had dealing with his group.
Oh man, it was bad. Hopefully, we'll get one of the other two admins on here so they can go into depth about just what a terrible situation that was.
Yeah, we've been trying for the last couple of
I mean,
episodes to get them on here.
Matt Wilson, if you were watching right now, it was like forced over and over again. But also you were listening to an audiobook of Aftermath at the same time. Like that's how bad it was.
That's rough. That's like having to wipe your butt with a newspaper. Or even worse, sandpaper. We've all been there.
Alright, I guess I'll go next. It's pretty easy. I'm still reading Kenobi's Blade. I've done nothing but actually literally pick it up and put it back down since last time. That's what happens when you get 4 hours sleep a night.
Alright.
Hopefully in 2 months I'll have it read.
The book that's barely
Hey.
100 pages.
Yeah.
Hey, that's faster than most casuals.
Yeah. They just like pictures.
If I can get a steady 20 minutes, I should have it done.
Yeah, well, yeah, we all know what the casuals like. They like pictures, especially when the
Mhm.
movie.
Right. Their favorite book is the Thrawn trilogy, and maybe one day they'll actually read it.
Yeah, those covers. Dave Filoni, he really loved those covers. He really liked that Splinter of the Mind's Eye cover. It's kind of scared him, but it spoke to him.
Oh, is that how we got Osaka and scared him and I popped out? Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah. Jordan, what are you reading?
Unfortunately, I'm reading too many books, but one of them's The Crystal Star.
Or root for president.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a campaign manager. Give them your vote.
I thought people were exaggerating how bad this book is, but I'm reading 3 chapters and I already want to stop reading it. It feels like a really bad Star Trek episode. I don't know if I'm the only one that thinks this way.
The only redeeming quality of the Crystal Star was that I liked seeing the Solo twins in action when they were like 5 or 6 at the time, but it was refreshing to finally see them actually doing something. And honestly, it was the only interesting part of the book for me. But other than that, yeah, it's
You mean you
It's
didn't
been nearly 2 decades since I've
Waru?
read it. So in nostalgia glasses, it still seems like a pretty good book, but it's been 2 decades.
Is that all we're reading? That's pretty pathetic.
It is.
So questions.
I'm reading Mall Lockdown as well.
Oh.
okay.
Oh boy, that's such a good book. You know what's really good is the audiobook for that. That's one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. I love how Darth Maul has the coolest name in Star Wars ever. Jagannath, officially, coolest name. That's what I should change my name to on our admin chat, but just get changed back to Judas. Dylan's like, yeah, what a piece of garbage. Oh, we want to go questions? Dylan,
Sure. Question.
read the questions now.
All right. So we have a question from someone by the name of Dark Snowy. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of him.
Sounds pretty meta.
Right. He actually has 2 questions.
Of
One,
course.
is there any way to make that turd of Satan known as the Crystal Star bearable? Every time I read that book, I want to fall asleep. It's so heavy that it makes Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void look like a masterpiece by comparison.
It's called alcohol. It gets you through anything. Isn't that
Uh,
right?
It's called Read It and then look back on it 20 years later and you'll think it's a good book.
It gets the female seal of approval.
It's called Read Planet of Twilight first, because I actually think Planet of Twilight is worse than the Crystal Star. Just so it's kind of, at least a step up, and you're like, okay, well, it's not, it's
I
bad.
can't get through that one. I've
It's
had
not-
that book forever, and I've tried to read it at least a dozen times, maybe more. I can't. Planet of Twilight. I just can't do it.
Let's see. I have it on my shelf, right there,
I can see it. It's pretty
Yeah.
unique.
along with all of my Bantam singles, except for New Rebellion, which is in book club size, to be the bane of my existence, and it's over there.
It took me a while to read the New Rebellion. That was another one that gave me problems.
Really, I
But I
actually
don't
like
like
New
it.
Rebellion.
I've never read it. It's like with most of my Star Wars hardcovers. They're there for show. Although, collection update, officially bought a copy of A.C. Crispin's Han Solo trilogy in hardcover.
Talking
Oh,
about
okay.
collections, don't we have a new group?
Do we?
Yes, we do.
I'll say it was
Well, we
made
kind of have a
because he always has a new group.
no. It's the group that Jordan made. You want to go into that?
This is supposed to, if you're looking to try to find anything that's out of print or rare or hardcovers like myself, we basically just find certain websites maybe to help people find something they may have overlooked or not find otherwise. I don't really have the whole thing down yet. That's just what it is at the moment.
You know what will not be on that list? Aftermath, because everyone's trying to sell their copy.
Well, didn't someone find an issue a listing on Aftermath for like $2 on Amazon?
Yeah, GeekSack did. Yeah, the Kindle book has dropped to $1.99.
If you pay $2 for that book, I'm going to tell you right now, you paid $5 too much.
It's like how when I got it on audiobook, I immediately returned it to give my Audible credit back.
Actually, it's funny every time Star Wars Books makes a post about the new one. It's funny listening to all the reading all the comments of people like not even Mark Thompson could make this bearable. There was one that they just recently had one a couple days ago where someone wrote, "Will this one have coherent sentences in it?"
Would Henry Thomas make it bearable? I loved him in the early Rogue Squadron books.
I don't know. What's the second part of this question? Because no one has a good answer.
Oh, what do you think is the worst trilogy in the entire expanded universe?
Are we counting comics?
I would
Yes.
say yes.
Okay, because it. There isn't a bad trilogy, in my opinion.
Exactly.
There's an okay trilogy. That'd be Dark Forces trilogy. Because they're too weird. And you're talking to the guy who loves weird in Star Wars, the only fan of other space you'll find in our movement. The only one who believes that you could tie the new canon with the old canon via other space. The one who could tie troops.
The guy who runs the New Republic History Department kind of debunked that whole theory after he heard about it. There's not enough room in other space for a whole other universe. He wanted the great detail about it.
I disagree. Because there's other space. And other space does not work like the rest of Star Wars space does. That's been proven in those supplements that it is weird.
Actually, it's funny. Every time they make a post about the new one, it's funny recently to all the reading all the comments of people like not even Mark Thompson could make this bearable. There was one that they had did they just recently had one a couple days ago where someone wrote, "Will this one have coherent sentences in it?"
There's probably some sort of wormhole or something. You'll end up in another dimension. But yeah, I would say Dark Forces just because it's so out there and they feel rushed. The books are they're paced like a video game, and there's like no, until the last book, there's like no, you know Kyle Katarn's going to be on top. I mean, that's a given because there's 2 video games after these. There's no suspense at all, though. There's no Kyle Katarn's going to get overwhelmed at all. He just mows everyone down with a machine gun. He's the Chuck Norris of Star Wars. He's just this grumpy action hero. Yeah, who else wants to go next?
I'll go. I'm going to be a little playful here. I'm going to say the Sword of the Jedi trilogy. 2 reasons. 1, it never got released, so that's pretty bad. And 2, it's actually coming out and it was supposed to be a duology and not a trilogy, which is what they advertised it as.
Damn, that's savage.
Wow. My camera turned off. Thank you again to our sponsor. What was it? Comcast for providing this great
sponsor.
And that's actually why Terry wouldn't come on because she's got Comcast and she's afraid of that.
I have Comcast.
We all have Comcast, I think.
Yeah. It beats
Oh,
dial.
I have my answer.
Yeah.
I have my answer. Okay, I was just checking my phone to make sure. Okay, I have my answer. We're counting comics, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna say Invasion.
Okay, I should have said that. That's pretty bad. Or
Because
it's pretty bad too.
What makes it so bad? Because I'm currently reading the New Jedi Order era.
it's like basically it takes place between Vector Prime and the Dark Tide duology, but it happened years later, and it inserts a bunch of characters into the storyline with the big 3 and their families. So like they're interacting with like, the big, like Mara and Jason and Jaina and Han and Luke and Leia and Anakin at this crucial point when like they've lost Chewbacca, and they're kind of just shoehorned in right at that point. You never hear anything about them before, and you never hear anything about them afterwards. And it's weird. And then the story isn't that great. It doesn't have a lot. Nothing really happens. It's kind of more focused on the new characters, and it's too forced. It's too shoehorned into the continuity to make it fit when it shouldn't be there. And I read them all. I actually finally got through and read them all.
To finishing them.
God, it's bad.
I have them.
That makes me want to read them then.
Oh, they're pretty awful. I paged through them not too long ago because I got them all. But
that actually beats my original one.
Jordan, what's your?
I haven't reviewed this. I might in the future. I think Black Fleet Crisis.
Huh.
I mean, I think it would have been fine if it was. This is my opinion. If it was maybe 2 books, maybe 1. I just felt like the pacing was kind of slow and it was kind of boring. And Lando was terribly utilized in that trilogy, in my opinion.
I'll agree with you on that. I thought the Lando story arc should have been its own book. And then, like you said, make it a duology and then make Lando's story arc, because that was pretty much a book in itself, a single book. I would have been happy with that, but I actually like the Black Fleet Crisis. And I know I'm like one of the only people who does, because everyone else hates it, but...
Matt likes it, but that's because he wrote the author and he sent him a signed copy of the hardcover.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt's special. Matt was special before he became the leader of the movement.
Right. Matt Wilkins is our leader. He is our overlord. We all need to bow to him now because he's going to get us to the promised land. You just all need to drink this Kool-Aid, and he'll make it happen.
As long as you vote for Waru.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Or Waru for president. He'll build a wall around Disney and make Bob Iger pay for it. He and Dave Filoni are now friends. Yeah, they're gonna
well,
get
another thing that bothered me about the trilogy, well, I didn't like Luke's story arc at all, honestly. I thought his part was atrocious.
Yeah. I do, though, like, when people are first reading Black Fleet Crisis, when they go, like, wait a minute, there's a huge continuity error, and you're like, well, not really. Finish the series. I do like that aspect of it, because it always happens. I mean, kind of spoilers if you haven't finished it, but yeah. If you think there's a continuity error in Black Fleet Crisis, just keep reading. Just finish the trilogy. It explains everything.
Well, in my opinion, I felt like if the trilogy was made after the prequels came out, I think there could have been done so much more with that storyline. But in my opinion, it was made too early.
What was the race in that book?
The Avithra,
Okay. I couldn't
who,
remember.
yeah, if you've read New Jedi Order, then you know.
Well, in New Jedi Order, everyone except for Waru came back, and that's distressing to me. Other
Not
people
everyone came back.
The Ghostlings were used later, but Waru wasn't.
Well, okay, later, okay. I thought you meant like everything was used in New Jedi Order. Not everything. They saved some stuff for like later incarnation, for the later series,
Callista.
that they didn't use in New Jedi Order. Yeah, Callista, Dala,
The Sissy Rook show
Well,
up.
what
well, no, the Sissy Rook were in New Jedi
That's
Order.
in New Jedi Order. Why did I think that was Fate of the Jedi? A whole bunch of weird crap from West End Games showed up.
Oh yeah, in Fate of the Jedi.
Yeah, when Luke fights that, doesn't Luke fight an entity of the dark side in Fate of the Jedi? I think,
Well, we're really getting to spoiler talk here.
but
I
yeah,
haven't even read that far. Shoot.
which I thought was in Legacy of the Force for the longest time, but it's not. But yeah, there's one of the coolest cameos ever in Star Wars comics happens in that, and I will not spoil that. But yeah. Oh. Yeah. Don't let him eat them. All
So
right.
we actually have a bunch of questions for the next one. Actually, this is good. Thank you everyone for sending us questions. I'm looking at it right now. We have a bunch.
I may have answered one.
You may have answered one.
Are you revolving
Last
around
show or
Yoda?
this show? Are you
Fan
watching?
theory.
Was there a fan theory around Yoda? I'm trying to remember.
There's probably a bunch of dumb ones that we don't
Yeah.
care.
It's more speculation because there's not really a lot on Yoda other than
Right.
I think Yoda Dark Rendezvous is the only one that really focused on him, and then there's a couple of short stories and tweets from Mulan Chi that are kind of about his backstory, but it's all vague stuff. We don't.
Yeah, because
Master his name.
Lucas
That's
said
about all I-
specifically not to talk about it.
Along with the Sabacc game that Han won the Falcon from Lando.
Well, we know exactly what happened in the Sabacc game. It's just never been written. But
I
we
don't
pretty much,
Wow,
if you've read the Bantam era stuff, they explicitly explain exactly what happens, like hand for hand, in that game. They just never show it, but they don't show it, but they talk about it in enough detail that you've seen it. Is the best way I can describe it.
Tell it, but
they talk about it in enough detail that you've seen.
I'm sorry, I'm watching us now live. Well, I wanted to. We got a comment and it won't come up, of course. But anyway, what's the next question, Dylan?
Oh, those are all the questions from last one.
Okay, cool.
About the Spock game, they're actually the guy who actually made the monsters for that. It is trying to make that a reality right now.
The Spock game? What?
Well, not Sabak. I said.
Oh,
I always
Sabak,
confuse
yeah.
The Daja, or whatever it's pronounced. I forget. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Bill, you wrote this podcast. Bill,
What?
you jerk.
I am
You brought Star Trek on here, and that's unacceptable on here.
not Star Trek. The game board and the Falcon.
The game board, the chess one,
Oh,
the
that's
Jark or
weird.
something.
Okay, I know how you're talking about Star Trek now.
Alright, is that all? We done?
Pretty
I guess.
much.
Oh, hello. Jordan, thanks for being on the show. Bill, thanks for
You're
ruining
welcome.
the show.
You're welcome. Always happy to help.
For bringing your toupee on the show. And then, lastly, thanks for watching, everyone. If you have questions for us, comment them down below. We'll answer them live on the air next time. Now I'm going to go eat food.
And
I'm
Bill's got to get up in the morning, so he's gonna try to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have about 4 hours of sleep again tonight.
Alright. Nice having you all
Yeah,
on.
I gotta read the Crystal Star.
God.
And Dylan's like, I gotta go watch hockey or something.
Hockey?
I don't know what's.
It's all about.
Dylan, you know what?
It's all about.
I don't care.
It's all about football now. We got Copa America going on. I mean, we lost to Colombia, which sucked because it was.
And
we just
goodbye.